vision, then, but he had to choose someone else to execute his vision, then he is giving trust to the other person. And a good leader is the one that creates new leaders. That's what we are arguing. Therefore, your original leader is creating original manager plus original leaders. I mean, your hierarchy just goes into expanding more into new leaders and into new managers.
Okay, this was your first one. Third counter-argument. You got an answer to this one?
So first of all, for semantics, you said synonyms, but if you look at the word leader, it says lead. Well, when you look at the word manager, it says manage, so it tells you whatever this person does. So a leader is supposed to be leading, while the manager only manages things. And there's a difference between leading something and managing something.
That's exactly what we're saying in our second argument. We're saying that a leader does not necessarily have to be a manager, but a manager has to be a leader, and we gave already examples, and we already built up into that.
Okay, anything to say?
Then about the transforming from a manager to a leader, so that
Only to their question that they say, like leader and manager seem to be the first argument, the counter-argument there.
which one? Because we read that.
Repeat it again.
We're talking about, we're saying that an original leader is the one that creates new leaders.
Yeah.
And we're saying that if you have a vision, but you do not have, you just don't have the, you just give the power to another person, you just give the trust to another person to lead your vision, then of course you're creating new leaders, and in this case it's the manager. So you're creating your original leader that you argue is creating a new manager plus a leader. Meaning that you're giving your trust to another person, yes, 2 in 1. You're giving a trust to another person who is a manager plus a leader.
Okay, move on. Okay.
Okay, the problem with that is now, if the manager would be a leader, he wouldn't necessarily need the vision of somebody else. But the manager receives a vision from the leader, and then he executes it, which tells us clearly that a leader can create new leaders through his managers, but he keeps transferring those knowledge and everything in his vision. But until the moment he becomes a leader himself, where he becomes the top of a food chain, he's not a leader, he's only simply a manager.
Yes, but what if, I think you're talking only on the scope of huge companies who have actually different managers managing their own companies. But what if you are the manager, you are in a group, in a team of 2 persons, and one is the manager and one is the assistant helping you in achieving your goal. So in this case, you have to be the manager, but also the leader of this project. You cannot only have the vision without also knowing how to manage it. So I think that our argument in actually creating new leaders through 2-in-1 is quite convincing, because we should not only take into consideration huge companies who can have one leader and have many managers surrounding them. Another adding argument to this is that the changing dynamics of the world today. Today, managers are not perceived as one only administering one company, but today managers have actually the freedom to create new visions for the company. Otherwise, you may see in many job creations, when they are vacancies, when they require for managers today, the role of the manager has actually changed, because in today's world, CEOs of companies do not only require someone who will administer their own company, but they want also one who brings new ideas and creates new visions for a certain company.
So
okay, can
Come
I
on,
try?
okay, it's your turn.
Yes.
Move on.
Okay, first of all, about these very small size entities you were talking about. Okay, personally, I actually agree with you at that point, because I do personally think that leaders and managers have a lot of similarities. But now about the second point, which I forgot.
Next, please.
Yeah, exactly. No, you were talking about the manager giving different visions and everything.
That's your power.
The problem is, even the simplest employee in a company can have a certain vision, but there's a big difference in the decision-making power. The manager can only give a proposal to the leader of a certain vision that can be applied in the future. but then he doesn't have, his decision-making power is far from competitive towards to a leader of the company.
Not really. I think that even if you perform one of the simplest tasks, which is writing on a computer daily, that you're actually leading, because you're the one who is controlling the computer and not the computer.
Well, you were talking about division, no? But
yes,
about
but we mentioned that today's managers also have the role of have the expert power, have the information power, and other powers that we mentioned. So I think that adds to the argument that actually these changing dynamics have created that managers who are actually the leaders of a company. I think that today's CEOs or chief directors or other entities are only just some figures who maintain one vision, but actually the ones who create that vision are the actual managers who are directing those companies.
And to add into that, we're not talking only on the scope of who has the name written as a leader, but we're talking on who has the powers and who has the ability to be a leader. Just because you have high authority does not mean that you're a good leader, or just because you have higher authority does not mean that you just own everything. If you do not have the power to manage or to lead your own vision, that basically you're just saying something and not doing anything about it. I mean, what's the point of having a vision if you cannot put that in practice? You have to call another person, you have to call the manager, because you trust that he's the one that can lead your own vision. And as we mentioned, we have informal leaders, and these informal leaders are the managers because they are basically executing a vision of the leader. And even if he has high authority, there can be people that have very low authority, but due to the powers they have, due to the expert powers, due to the information powers, and due to the communication, due to the other powers that they have, they can just become the leaders. I mean, you do not have to have just the authority.
But in the end, I think